I spent all day in the principal's office before.
Yeah.
My school was from like kindergarten to 8th grade, so I mean that's an entire lifetime. I mean, right? Like
it's
that's
not. But
it is if you have childhood leukemia.
Wow, the bar has really been hard.
No, I mean that's a decade. You know, that's a long time. Well, kindergarten too. So right,
Absolutely.
9 years.
Down. Oh, I'm eating brunch with my people though. The homie Dyke just cooked up a feast and we bout to eat it, bro. Fucked around and has to mix the lobster with the poutine. Daddy is rolling blue dream. Them boys got down a routine. It's Naptown culture. Cooking 7 courses. Had to pass the torch and now I'm grabbing second portion. So sit back, relax, grab a drink and a smoke. It's Harder Brunch on the way and get prepared for the jokes. Whoa.
Hi, and welcome to the Harder Brunch Podcast. I'm your host, Dyke Michaels, and with me, a very special co-host in studio, Gwen Sunkel.
Slap it, pep it, wah, wah.
Hey!
Yeah, what's
That was
up?
great.
Harder Brunch Nation.
That was way better than Thad. Thaddeus is out on report this week. He's not available, so thank you so much for sitting in for him.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I'm a huge fan
Yeah.
of Harder Brunch. There was a time when I think I was single-handedly keeping this podcast alive.
Yes, I mean, it's week to week. And on the ones and twos, the wheels of steel, the sauce boss of Indianapolis, and the last woke dragon. Give it up for Zach Rohn, everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I think Thad's faking it,
Yeah?
but I kind of like it better now.
Think he's-
so
think
I think
he's
he should fake away.
faking a report?
Yeah,
I'm definitely cuter than that.
yeah.
Yeah, well, he's out on assignment, so...
Yeah.
A very special returning champion with us in studio, comedian and musician Kyle Buck.
How are we doing? I'm so happy to be here. It's been a while since I've done a Harder Brunch, and I think I maybe did one of your Patreon episodes not too long ago. But it's been so long that since I've done Harder Brunch, I'm so stoked to be here. Thank you for having me.
Welcome back.
Yes.
And now we have cameras to get you
Yes,
get you on
absolutely.
camera.
I'm
Very
glad I wore.
excited.
I literally almost showed up here in like my worst hoodie, and was like, I can't.
No, you look
do
very
that.
safe. You got
Yeah,
some
thank
Mr.
you.
Rogers kind of vibes going on.
Absolutely, I got the Henley with the Chardonnay is
Yeah.
what this color I've been told is called in the King Size magazine.
Oh.
So that's where we're at. That's
I
what I'm
love
doing.
it. I love it.
Slide me that magazine, Deets, after we're done.
Yeah.
Up my clothing game.
Oh yeah.
Dyke was good enough. Originally, I was going to jump in as producer, and then Thad's assignment took longer than he thought. So he was like, you're going to be on camera, so try not to look like a complete asshole.
Excellent. Hell yeah. You got more heads up than I did. So
You always look good, Kyle.
Hey.
So I wasn't worried about you.
I do what I can. You know what I mean? It's,
Mission accomplished.
for us guys, we just rock. It's the beard and a haircut. If you don't have the haircut, you get a hat. Like that's really, it's too easy for us.
Yeah.
It's too easy.
Or might I add a clean hoodie?
yes.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
I about once a month am I completely set.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dyke,
Presentable.
what do you know about a clean hoodie?
Well, the other 29 days not so good. But one of those broken clock is right
Yeah.
twice a day. That's what they say.
As soon as you get to that first meal, at least for me, I can't keep something like if I
No.
wear like this right here, I'm purposely like ate, then put this on, and then came here.
That was Bush League. That was complete Bush League.
It was Dad's fucking.
For about, no one can hear you. You're not mic'd up.
It's Dad's.
We have
Yelling. Dad's fucking laptop. Someone's trying to call him.
hey, see if you could tap into the phone call. can we?
Harder Brunch Drunk Dial crossover.
Yeah. Can we listen into Thad's phone calls from his computer?
Moonsville Morgue.
Actually,
You
we
stab
can.
'em, we slap 'em.
All right, let's not do that. All of a sudden, we get him in some real trouble. Oh my gosh! I wanted to start off with a couple of housekeeping things.
Yes.
One of the main things I want to get across because I'm very excited about is Meat Cakes 3 is happening. We're getting ready. It's going to be February 26th at Tinker House Events. If you're like thinking to yourself right now, what the hell is a meat cake? You're probably not the only one. A meat cake is a cake that's going to be made out of 8 of the best chefs in the city are going to compete, and they basically make giant wedding cake size cakes out of meat. I think the rule is it has to be like 95% meat. And that can include seafood.
And cornbread.
And well,
And bacon cornbread.
you can push the limits of that 95% if you're sauce boss. But no, really excited to partner with Tinker House Events. So we're gonna be in a bigger space this year. It's gonna be set up kind of like a science fair kind of thing. So
nice.
You're gonna be able to walk around. You're gonna be able to have like a meet and greet, talk with a chef. They can actually like explain their cake in detail. You can take selfies with the cakes if you want to.
Oh, awesome.
That'll be a lot of fun.
And then we're gonna have. I think we have a better judging system this year. We got it locked in. It's gonna be so good. Gwen, you're not gonna be able to believe how good this voting system is.
Wow. It's exciting.
Yeah.
wait.
Very excited. So mark your calendars, February 26th. Actually, by the time you hear this, tickets are on sale right now. So let's go to Eventbrite and grab them tickets.
Hell yeah.
To meet Too Furious.
To Meet Too Furious. Did you ever get to try any of those meat cakes?
You know, I honestly have missed the last two, and I was devastated about it. So now that I have the information about the third one, I'm not going to miss it. I'll be there for sure, especially now that I know that it's like a... I wasn't super familiar with the last couple of formats, but this idea of walking around and just trying them and getting to know the folks, I think just sounds like such a cool event. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I love how you're referring to it as a science fair and not like a food expo, which is something that people are also familiar with.
Yeah. I don't know. The science fair just was what popped out, just like a gymnasium and walking around. And
Sure, absolutely. The teenage BO just hovering in the air.
Absolutely.
Do you remember what you did for your science fair when you were a kid?
Oh man, I did.
And was it really your idea, or was it your parents' idea?
So when it came to like, we had a few like science clubs and fairs, mostly like robotics and stuff. But the one thing that I do remember was there was this one sort of event where everyone was supposed to create a board game, and it was like it was a game fair instead of a science fair. And like, I don't know, we were in like the 4th grade or something, and I remember I made a John Wayne board game.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was
So you've been a weirdo for a long time.
big time weirdo, and it was Hey Pilgrim was what it was called. No, I don't know.
No, it was not. I love it so much.
Yeah, I wish I remembered what it was called. But I remember the fatal flaw in that game was if you landed on one space, it sent you 4 spaces forward, but if you landed on that space, it sent you 4 spaces back. So you landed in a paradox.
It was like quicksand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I had to come up with a way to like, well, how do we get out of this? And so I had to come up with like a bullshit rule where you like roll a dice that I brought in arbitrarily. It was all bush league for a 4th grader. I'll tell you that much.
I thought you were going to say
happy
the fatal flaw was if a Native American gave out an Academy Award, that John Wayne would shoot her. That was.
I should have.
game.
My grandpa suggested that one, but no. No.
Did you have a science fair growing up?
Yeah. My project was I had this tree house, and I took 2 milk gallons.
Okay.
One that I had nothing in, and one that was full of water, and I dropped them out of my tree house, and my dad took a picture, like midair. And then we went and developed the film.
That was it?
Yeah, because it was like, which hits the ground faster, the light one or the heavy one?
Oh my gosh. You guys, did you have one, Sauce Boss?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, he made a John Wayne board game. You're dropping gallons of milk out of a thing. Like, I had to do work. I had to do like a lot of science.
I mean, I think I made a hypothesis, performed an experiment,
Sure.
and then presented my results.
Yeah, that's the only science-oriented one we've heard so far.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, mine had no science whatsoever. I didn't even count properly.
What was yours, Zach?
I was obsessed with space, and I wanted to like colonize Mars or whatever. And so
I bet you did.
mine was
You
whether
and Alon.
mine was whether or not like life could live on Mars. And so to do that, I think I put some I forget what they were, like bacteria in a freezer.
Okay.
And just to see if it would live, and it didn't.
Interesting.
And so I think my conclusion was you can't go to Mars.
Wow.
I think I was wrong, but
No, I think you're absolutely correct. The idea that we're going to colonize Mars is real dumb.
My grandparents were both scientists, and they would just take over my science. So they were just like, "You don't know what you're doing here," and they were right. I would have made a Star Trek board game or something, like. So the first year it was something where it was just like we had all these different kinds of bird feed, and they had these bird feeders outside, and then I had to log hours of over different days over the course of a month of what birds were attracted to what kind of food.
Oh, this has your grandmother written all over it
Yeah.
because she also loved watching birds.
Yeah.
And cooking.
It was a little self-serving on her part, I feel
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
And then the next year, my mom was working at the State Board of Health, and we did something. We were growing stuff in Petri dishes at the State Board of Health. So, like, I mean, I'm dropping stuff, and we're putting it into enclaves.
Water
or I don't know,
supply.
like...
Autoclaves.
Autoclaves, yeah.
In cubbies.
We were science boxes. I mean, we were doing all kinds of stuff.
It's just a box of science on it.
Yeah.
So many test
You
tubes.
see, Gwen, that's how you science, and that's why I'm
Running for Congress.
an assistant pitmaster and you're a nurse practitioner.
One thing I did get to do that was really exciting in college, and not so much a science fair as a nursing fair activity, was we all had to bring our bathing suits to class and give each other like a bed bath, because like there's no special way to give somebody
Sure.
if they can't get out of bed, and like to change the sheets so you could see what it would feel like or whatever. But it like if you did not bring your bathing suit and participate, you failed the class. And I always differentiate if someone went to a real nursing school or a fake nursing school by whether or not they had to bring a bathing
Okay.
suit to class.
Okay.
It's kind of like when you get your commercial driver's license, when you get your CDL, when you're doing this whole extreme test. If you don't put your seatbelt on before you do your air brake test, it's an automatic failure. So Kyle, we've interviewed you as a comedian before.
Yeah.
Very funny comedian, also a prominent booker and show producer. However, this time we're going to talk to you a little bit about your music career.
Yeah, I'm super excited to, be able to have different avenues, to talk about. There's so many hilarious folks and talented folks in many different realms. There's so many comedians that are musicians, and a lot of musicians that try comedy. Like it's definitely one of those things where having tried and really put a solid foot forward in both fields. Anytime I've had a few comedians come up to me and be like, and wanting to explore music, I'm like, look, if you can get on stage and be vulnerable into a microphone, then any note you hit on this thing is going to be just something you need to practice. And, it's so cool to be able to, know so many cool people in both realms. I'm excited about it. Yeah.
And you've never had an itch to try to bring one into the other. You've never tried to do musical comedy.
So not specifically. No. There are people who can really pull that off. You know what I mean? And there are a lot of names that come to mind. Stephen Lynch. I absolutely love Garfunkel and Oates. I think that's like really where some people can really bring comedy and music together. Weird Al, obviously, Bo Burnham. Geniuses, but at the same time, it's one of those things that's got to be so individually done well that like it can seem very replicated. Whereas the idea of melding the two definitely is something that's been an itch of mine for a long time, and I think that I've had some very small conversations with folks in both scenes, and I think that in the next year or two that there's definitely going to be some cool things in the works that sort of meld these two worlds a little bit, I think. So I'm
Called
excited.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real jack off's gun situation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I think I've noticed that, I don't know, it seems like the people that are like the further along musically you are, and you also do comedy, the more you're kind of embarrassed about I've had a lot of comics that do like maybe like a song, or they incorporate music into their stuff somehow.
Sure.
They'll be like, don't introduce me as like a musical comic, or don't say that I do music. Like they're very like, I want to reveal that myself, and I don't want to be like thought of or labeled a certain way, Very interesting.
I like musical comedy, so I don't know what people's problems are.
I just went and saw Book of Mormon last night.
Nice.
Ooh, how was that?
It was wonderful, except the second lead, I think, had like a medical emergency in the middle. They swapped him out in the middle of like a song.
I mean,
Like
that's why there's an
the-
understudy.
Yeah, I've never seen an understudy get utilized before. And
The
now,
show must go on.
Yeah,
I've never seen it like mid-show. I've seen it like, the
Yeah.
part of such and such will be played by the understudy.
well, you're literally the understudy of this show.
Oh,
Here I am.
the Gwender study is
The
what
Gwen
it is.
Yeah,
Hey.
I like it. I like
It comes full circle.
Yeah.
Remind me of the name of your band because I wrote it
Yeah.
down and I immediately lost it.
The Stampede String Band.
Yep,
That's what it was.
it.
Weird.
Pull
I was just
together.
testing my co-host
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
Flying
Nailed it.
colors.
Nailed it. Yeah, no, we're the Stampede String Band. We've been around. We put out our first album in 2013. Came together in 2011 by way of Craigslist.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Wow.
literally.
None of you got murdered.
No, absolutely. It was literally one of the Craigslist hookups that that worked out. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it was sort of a wild ride from those early years of just playing for a few bucks and pizza and stuff that we could find wherever, to now being in our mid 30s with families and stuff like that, to still be able to make music and be well received in our local community is something that is just awesome, and we're excited to celebrate it with everybody, actually, with a new album and a bunch of new shows coming up. So
And a
That's all.
wider audience for you.
Yes.
Than, you're
Wider.
reaching. Yes.
Wider.
Yes, wider.
Dur.
Yes.
it's it doesn't need to be whiter. Trust me. This is the string band realm.
What would you compare your guys' sound to?
Well, it's a really interesting sort of meld. In the early years, we tried to do so much when we first started getting going, bands like the Avett Brothers and Mumford & Sons were getting really big. Ray LaMontagne's God Willing and the Creek Don't Rise album was really big, and there was this sort of resurgence in the new grass folk revival, which over the years has given us amazing acts now like Billy Strings and stuff like that are really innovating that sort of traditional sound. And we tried to go down that lane a lot in the early years and saw some success. Like, it was definitely something that we enjoyed. Heavy banjo lines, a lot of really well written stuff, which I think is really the heart of what we did. John Baylor and Aaron Nicely, who are the other 2/3 of the band, are really gifted songwriters, and John has been since he was a kid, and Aaron, as he got into high school and college and now a dad, really has grown so much in his songwriting that those early songs, while we love playing them and being innovative, this new sound is very reaching back to a rootsy sound. It's less rooted in the heavy banjo lines, less rooted in the it's less of that and really more roots blues driven, roots folk sound.
Nice.
that I think is going to be refreshing to not only hear on the recording, but also live, just because we sing into a single microphone. We don't mix 3 microphones to it's they get in there and the harmonies are as they exist if no one were there. And it's really, really cool to experience.
And
That's
do you,
awesome.
do you wear overalls during your live performance?
Not yet.
No?
But I have highly considered, been watching a lot of Letterkenny.
Yeah.
So Squirrely Dan is someone who I look to a lot for like wardrobe advice, and I think that I could pull off some overalls. But at the same time, I have been called, I think it was, I can't remember who it was, but someone just threw out the old flannels and overalls, like, hey, you kind of look like you're in the Country Bears. It's like, damn it, I don't know if I want to sit in that world, but I don't know. It's one of those things that flannel just feels right, except when you're at a 95-degree festival. So.
Oh, yeah.
I like matching overalls. All 3 of you matching overalls. Like
Wow, now you're giving me ideas.
bedazzled.
Yeah, plaid even.
Yeah.
Plaid overalls would be awesome.
I like the
Bedazzle,
sound
like
of that.
even just the pockets, just the outline of the pockets.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think we might have to. Do you know anyone that could
Who could bedazzle?
costume folks?
Oh
or
yeah,
anyone?
I'll bedazzle that right up.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Well, then we'll have to have a conversation with that. I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
Now, Kyle, you had said that your fellow bandmates are better songwriters, and then earlier, kind of off mic, you had said that they are also better musicians. So that means you're the eye candy of the band.
I mean, among other things, absolutely.
Okay.
There's gotta, the other 2 guys, God bless them, they do their best. And, no, I'm kidding. No, No, I mean, I don't mean to take anything really away from myself. I think that, I certainly have a solid contribution when it comes to it, but so much of the origination of the sound and so much of the base of the sound comes from, the tones that originated from their instruments and their sort of minds and stuff. So when it comes to that, I think I definitely put a really cool feel on all the tracks myself. But if you were to take, my part away from, especially the new stuff, because it was so much of their production, that I feel like I definitely add to the tracks, but if you took it away, I don't think it's ruining it. You know what I mean? And so I'm super excited to get out and fill in a third part on this album, because the album is actually just the two of them. I don't play at all on this album because they recorded these songs before I rejoined middle late to last year. That, when I do finally step in and start contributing on these songs and another, instrument line, is going to be really cool. Excited.
Now, did you brought a clip for us or a song?
Yeah, we brought our first single, One Thing at a Time. This is going to be the first track off of the album. We dropped it a couple of weeks ago. We've got a new single dropping. When's this coming out?
This weekend? Is that
next Monday.
This weekend? Well, then the new single, What It Takes to Love, is actually now out on all platforms, so go check that out. But we're playing One Thing at a Time, which is the first single we released. Mm-hmm.
I wish I could have known you back when you were young. Hellraiser, big talker, high staker, line walker. Never figured you would make it so far. Gunslinging, heavy drinking, fist swinging, fast car. You told me to always count on dying today. When you got that on your mind, you're taking one thing at a time.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Outstanding.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I say thank you, but that was 2 voices, 2 instruments, 1 microphone.
Wow.
That's how the whole album was recorded, which is, not sort of the normal way of doing that. The best way, obviously, is, you record them all individually and mix them, and
Well, you can hear kind of that kind of DIY, like very raw sound.
sure.
And it even the lyrics reminded me a lot of like punk bands, like Fat Lip and Skin Knees. So
Yeah, for sure.
The lyrics reminded me of a Fast and Furious movie. It was like a lot of Vin Diesel energy.
Yeah. But to this
Absolutely.
like beautiful guitar and banjo.
And that was Aaron Nicely, our esteemed Aaron Nicely, wrote that song about his grandfather who passed away. So that's it's a great song. Aaron is, like I said, a tremendous writer. And the way that song came together just really, I don't know, it just really, when I heard these songs for the first time and they told me they had this album to come out, I'm like, I had no feelings about like, well, guys, I'd love to come on and, put like a instrument on it, so like I'm on the album and like I just didn't want to touch them at all. I'm just like, these songs need to be as they are to go out, like, and I'm just super stoked to get them out to people now. So
Nice.
Heck yeah.
And you guys got a big show coming up, right?
yes, we do. We have our big album release show the 28th of January at Duke's. So just a week Saturday, yeah. Absolutely. So if you guys aren't doing anything, come on out. The tickets are $15 in advance, $18 at the door. We've got the Lowlanders from Bloomington.
Oh, nice.
Kind of a fun tie-in. The Whip Stitch Sallies from around the Bargersville area were a fantastic all-female string band that really gave us one of our first opportunities in sort of that area down there. And they were actually one of the people who called us up and were like, hey, they're doing this local show at the Vogue. Come be honest. So we got to put out our first album at the Vogue back in 2013. Here we are 10 years later. One of the members of Whip Stitch Sallies is still playing in the Lowlanders. And so we're able to get this new project that she has along with us to give them a big voice. And so, folks should come out and support, all of us. Appreciate it if you would consider it or share it online or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
And if you've never been to Duke's, it's a lot of fun.
It is.
Great food there as well.
Yeah.
You got it.
Tie in to the food podcast.
100%. Their wings are insane.
I'm very excited. What day of the week is that?
Saturday night, the 28th.
All right, I'm gonna try to make sure I have that clear so I can go. I've never actually been to Duke's. I'm really excited.
Yeah?
I have a lot of friends that have performed there and stuff like that. It seems to have a really good energy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's as close as you can get to like a real honky tonk in Indiana.
Yeah. I think it was. I can't remember who the artist is, but it sort of epitomizes Duke. It's less honky, more tonkin'. Like it's just, it really is just such a cool vibe in there, and like their motto is "Please shut the fuck up." It's just they get it.
Yeah,
they get it.
And I'm a big supporter of how do we get more minorities into string music, like how do we do that?
I mean, hey, you're not wrong.
I'll show up and I'll be
Jump in, yeah.
Do it. Absolutely.
I guarantee you that if you come to their show, the number of black people in the room will double.
Yes. I don't know. I've got a few. No. It's hilarious that like that. You're not wrong. That's the reason why I'm saying that is because it's a very valid statement, and it's like, I feel pretty good about the fact that I think I've got at least 5 non-white folks like coming out for me. And I feel like that's pretty good, especially to come to a honky tonk. You know
to
what I
hear
mean?
banjo
Keep it
music.
going.
Keep
it going. But most people hear banjo music turn the other way.
Yeah, historically the banjo has scared us away.
Who invented the banjo, dude?
What?
Banjo was invented by an African.
No one can hear you.
Yep. Banjo's actually an African instrument. Yeah. It originated, I think the original one was a hollowed out gourd with some sheepskin and horsehair.
It sounds like my soul.
Just a hollowed out gourd.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just plucking that banjo, that first tone is probably like someone probably felt the same way. And you're like, this is my soul.
Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with more Kyle Buck.
Yeah.
Gen Z can't stop raving about the Harder Brunch Patreon.
Patreon.com/Harder Brunch slaps.
No cap, the Harder Brunch Podcast is bussin' on God.
Move over, Boomer. Gen Z's here to talk to you about the Harder Brunch Patreon.
Harder Brunch Podcast on Patreon, $3 a month, low-key a steal.
The Harder Brunch Podcast deadass has me bricked up every day.
Listen to these all totally real testimonials.
No, like I'm getting paid to do this. Don't worry. Yeah. No, you think I do this for free? No.
The Harder Brunch Podcast Deadass Slaps.
younger.
The Harder Brunch Podcast Deadass Slaps.
Just go to patreon.com/Harder Brunch.
The Patreon After Brunch podcast hits different. That shit makes you feel shit.
The Harder Brunch Podcast fucks.
Hey, we're back talking with Kyle Buck. Now, Gwen, I know sometimes you struggle to get out of bed in the morning.
Absolutely.
You really need a perk to get up in the morning. You need a blast of caffeine.
Absolutely, I
Something
do.
that's going to wake you up and make you productive the whole rest of the day.
Yep.
Have you heard of Tinker Coffee? Have you heard of this?
Oh,
Have you heard of this?
is this the coffee that we drink here at
This
Harder
is
Brunch
the
every
official coffee of Harder Brunch.
week? Official coffee of Harder Brunch.
This is what I drink every day. This is what I serve to my guests. I only serve the top shelf coffee.
Why would you serve anything else?
Sometimes Bonnie gets coffee and she buys shit. All right, I buy the good stuff.
Only Tinker Coffee for Brunch Nation.
Now, right now, you can get a basically like a coffee subscription.
Oh shit! They'll just send it to your
They'll
house.
Send it right over to your house, and if you use the promo code brunch, 25% off.
Whoa, that's a really good deal.
Tell them,
actually.
tell them Large Marge sent you. Oh, I'm Large Marge.
All right, Pee Wee.
I love me some Tinker coffee. I got to tell you that much.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Like, what do you know what they do to it to make it like the low acid coffee or whatever?
I don't know, but I know my stomach appreciates it.
Yeah. It's a coffee that I can like pick up a cup in the afternoon and not be like, oh, why does my stomach feel all funny?
Yeah.
Or like super jittery.
Yeah, and it I didn't feel like that when I was younger, but as you age, you can't
Nothing's
drink.
correct.
You can't drink
Yeah.
5 cups of coffee anymore, but I can with Tinker.
Yeah.
Like I could drink 5, and then I travel through time. After my 5th cup, I quantum leap into the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Tinker.
Now that Brunch Nation knows about our digestive habits.
I like to keep it real. I like to keep it 100, Gwen. You know?
So if you have trouble digesting coffee, then you should check out the subscription. 25% off with code brunch.
Yeah,
They'll mail it right to your house.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And tell them Harder Brunch sent you.
And I need to take just a second here. I know that we're in the middle of a read, but when it comes to class, like serving water in one of these is the epitome. Like I'm trying to think about the top of the mountaintop, but if someone were to come over to my house and I were to serve them water in this, I would feel like I was there. So I just want to acknowledge that.
I'll tell you what. One of the good things about doing the show is I started off with almost nothing. Like I started off in an empty house, and then slowly each week was like, hey, I don't have this, and we've built over the course of 3 years this stable of all this great servingware, all this. I've got gifted some things by my good friend Gwen for Christmas to serve guests.
Yeah, I got tired of him serving like these beautiful, gourmet brunches with like a plastic fork.
Well, sometimes it was fun. Like that's how you get like a hand salad. Like sometimes you get served a salad that's just
It's just for the hands.
just raw dogged in my hand.
I definitely remember coming over and there was some sort of meat thing and we all had to share one steak knife.
I do remember that. That's not
That
even
was
an
very
exaggeration.
early in the podcast. but
early days.
No, it wasn't even it was only like very recently that we had more than like 4 spoons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
I have a tradition where every 5 years of my life I like to just burn all my stuff and start over. So
Listen, the name of the podcast is not Easy Brunch.
yeah,
That's true.
The things are not supposed to be convenient and comfortable. So
It's a harder brunch.
yes. And sharing one steak knife amongst 5 people is the hardest way to use a steak knife. Or it's a team building exercise.
It really
That's the way I like
was.
it.
Yeah.
Speaking of the brunch, we had a bit of an away game today because this is kind of a pop-up episode for us because it doesn't matter why. But we're doing
Not
this.
important.
Full disclosure, we're doing this in the middle of the week and not on our normal Sunday. So instead of me cooking, we hit up our friends at Giacomo Pizza, and we ordered. I ordered the Slaughterhouse 5.
Oh, so good.
Named after our homie Kurt Vonnegut.
5 different meats on there.
All the meats.
All the meats.
It's so good, and I'm just spoiled now with our proximity to Giacomo.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a nice little...
It's a very easy thing to do.
It's quick. If it wasn't raining, I would have walked.
Yeah.
But it was raining, so I parked right close to it and didn't want to get wet. Just always good. I don't know. You know, it's just like... I feel like this happens with comedians sometimes, probably anybody. It's just like when you're just consistently good, your name sometimes gets dropped out of stuff because it's just like, Reliable's always going to be there. They're always going to be doing what they do at the highest level. And man, just some of my favorite pizza. I have a weird ranking system for pizza. It's like there's like kind of like this. It's kind of like gourmet pizza, you know, like or higher end pizza.
Yeah.
And then there's like the pizza chain pizzas, your Papa John's or Pizza Huts or whatever. And then there's like slutty hood pie. Slutty hood pie is like mom and pop.
Yeah.
Ballpark pizza.
Ballpark, Aunt Polly's.
A lot of bars, a lot of dives have really good pizza, like that sort of
Bowling
thing.
alleys, yeah.
And then every other kind of like not homemade, but every other kind of like pizza is underneath that, like you know, pizza you make when you're drunk, like that kind of stuff.
Where do you stand on pizza that you get from school? The rectangle pizza?
Oh, the school pizza?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say somewhere in between slutty hood pie and stuff you make when you're drunk.
I remember my mom drove a bus for the Renaissance School, and she used to get like sheet trays of that pizza and then keep it in the freezer. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it never goes bad, never goes good. No, I mean it's always there. School pizza, that stuff that we ate when we were kids, just always. Remember how much milk we drank? Remember that?
So much milk.
I thought about this the other day. Like chocolate or like just the cartons, like in crates, like the cooler of crates full of cartons of milk.
Yeah.
It's just like there's a water fountain right here, and it's like, nope,
Milk. Everybody drink milk.
Strawberries, one carton of strawberry for the, you know, those kids. But like it was all just milk galore. Is wild.
My mom would smash a 32-ounce glass of milk with like dinner.
I cannot tell you how much we must have spent on milk when I was a kid. Like,
My mom would budget's out of control.
My mom would go to the store like 2 and 3 times a week just to buy milk.
Yeah. It's an economical gauge. Like people gauge the markets. Well, where's milk at? You know what I mean? Like right now it's eggs, you know, but like people are like, well, I don't know, milk's going up, better watch gas. It's like, well, I mean, is the means of consumption needing to be on that level? It's wild.
Well, like
The French toast market is out of control.
Like Gen Z doesn't play with milk, you know, like
No,
right? They're not into it, and I would say millennials are probably split 50. Like the, you know, me being on the older side of millennials, I feel like we got grandfathered in the milk game, but I don't think younger millennials are drinking like that. They're drinking like almond milk, oat milk, maybe.
Yeah,
that's
a little splash in your coffee, but nobody's drinking 32 ounces of it with dinner.
I had like a glass like this size with some Amelia's cookies we had the other night with some oat milk. It was fantastic. It was great.
Sure, that's a different story.
Yeah, you don't need the cow milk. It's odd. I've thought about it a lot over the last few years, not just with the documentaries and stuff, but like also just like the commercial push in the 90s. Like we all were there. You know, it was just one of those things that was inescapable.
Yeah, that Got Milk campaign that all the celebrities were in.
Yeah, even like. It was wild. You had like Danny DeVito next to like literally
Kermit the Frog or something.
Kermit the Frog, and then also like the most fit person, like Michael Johnson.
Yeah,
you know, you have Olympic sprinters next to like Kermit the Frog, and they're like, you know what, we both like
milk.
I don't have a
for a second.
system,
I thought you forgot Michael Jordan's name.
No,
I was like, he's building the worst Space Jam I've ever heard of. You know, it's just Kermit and Danny DeVito take on Michael Johnson. They're playing for the sake of the universe. You remember that old classic chestnut?
That's the like that would be like the Shazam to the Kazam of Space Jam.
Yeah. That one's Space Germ.
Space cans.
Space
What I said is more like the pork parody.
Yeah.
Space cans. What? Who's this one is Michael Johnson.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
Speaking of milk, we also for our snack. I don't know what are we calling this. I feel like this was
I was very confused. Like I knew you were getting the pizza, and then you started bringing stuff out of your fridge and taking pictures of it. I thought we were just doing a tour to Dyke's house.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he didn't understand the theme.
I didn't understand the theme.
Did anyone understand?
Yeah.
Was there a theme?
The theme is
I just got the tone. No.
So much tone in this episode.
all tone, no theme. No, the theme was it was like middle of the day snack, but also
Local favorites.
local favorites. So it was. I thought pizza and ice cream sounded really good together. And so if we go to ice cream, we're gonna go to my favorite ice cream maker in the city, which is Circle's Ice Cream.
Woo, woo, woo. Shout out to Circles.
Shout out Wes. He doesn't miss. He just doesn't miss. Like I haven't had a flavor where I was like, man, it's okay. They're all great.
Could call him Michael Jordan.
He's the Michael Johnson of ice cream. I'll say that. But
And always layers all those mix-ins and toppings throughout the pint.
That's where
the
that's where
special
he
sauce.
really shines, is because most ice cream, if it has stuff in it, it's only at the top.
Yeah.
But he layers it all the way down, so it's like that last bite is going to be just as good as the top layer, which
Perfect.
is as simple as it sounds, is a real game changer.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going there when I leave here. I don't know if they're open or not, but I'll sit there till they are.
Well, they have like these vending machines all over the town. So like there used to be one like at Wildwood. There's one at Goose the Market.
There's ice cream vending machines?
Well, it's like self-serve freezer basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like a freezer
with
and
a
you
social
have to,
contract.
Yeah.
You have to scan a QR code to pay for it
Yeah.
because it's something about like dairy products are like regulated differently by the state.
Pretty hardcore.
So they can't.
Which is also weird.
It's so weird. It's so weird. Like this weird backwards loophole that he can get around by selling it if you scan this QR code, but not if you take it through the register.
Interesting.
Yeah, Louis Pasteur has a real scam going on.
Oh, Louis Pasteur.
But yeah, so amazing ice cream. And then I threw some of the Smoking Goose sweet and spicy pecans on it.
Oh,
incredible.
so good. So good.
It was a fun little treat.
was.
So I am just blasting with ice cream sugar buzz right now.
Yeah,
And
I feel like we won like an essay contest in elementary school because we got pizza and ice cream.
this
It
is
does
like
have a lot of after school feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never understood. This was what a piece of shit kid I was in grade school, because I remember the prize would be lunch with the principal sometime, and I was always like, that sounds like a punishment.
Yeah, it does.
I'm gonna try real hard to get A's and then eat my prizes to eat with the principal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's odd.
That's like having gang members be like, hey, if you don't commit any crimes, you get to eat with the cop.
Hard pass.
Yeah.
Be see walking my way out of here.
But then what you realize is that if you got in trouble more, you could eat with him more often.
Oh yeah,
It was just, it was
Yeah.
a weird
in-school
sort of
suspensions. Yeah, I spent all day in the principal's office before.
Yeah.
My school was from like kindergarten to 8th grade, so I mean that's an entire lifetime. I
Yeah.
mean, right? Like
It's
that,
But
it is if
it's
you have
several
childhood
years.
leukemia.
Wow, the bar has really been lowered.
But no, I mean a decade. That's a long time. Kindergarten too. So right, that's
Absolutely.
9 years. That's almost a decade. That's a long time to have the same principal know that you started shit when you were a kindergartner. They keep their eye on you until you graduate.
absolutely.
That's true. Yeah, you
Yeah.
have to carry that with you. Did you have corporal punishment at your school?
We did, but it was always more the threat of it. I can't tell you an instance when it was ever actually instigated, but it was like if your parents okayed it,
Yeah.
it was there, so it was just enough of a threat. And it was like, I think it was just we were just a few years removed from it not having to have your parents okay.
Yeah.
So it was always on the table.
I see.
It was always on the, especially when you're like,
Yeah.
in those young grades.
I entered the public school system because of corporal punishment. I had a really odd scenario happen when I was in the 2nd grade. I got kicked out of, or I was deemed to be expelled or to be the recipient of corporal punishment. So essentially, they basically called my mom, said, hey, he can't come to school anymore, or we're going to give him 3 whoopings. And she said, no, you're not, and came down and was this close to taking the principal across the table. And she was like, we're leaving. And so that was the last time I was in the private religious school system, entered the public school system. And I feel like I'm better off for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was wild. Very wild scenario.
No, my public high school, you could still
Really?
Get paddled.
Oh,
You were a good girl, though.
Oh yeah, I was never like on the receiving end of any of that. But you did have to call and get your parents' permission. But I mean, I graduated from high school in 2000, and they were still
Yeah.
spanking like the 18-year-olds. You know, this was in high school.
No way.
This was high school. Yeah,
There was high school kids getting spanked.
Yes.
I having problems processing this
I'm
information.
having problems processing it.
This sounds
20 years
so
later.
inappropriate.
Yeah, it was.
Once you hit puberty, spankings turn into something completely different in my book. Like,
Yeah. How weird is that?
weirder.
Yeah.
They're actually just always weird. Don't take that back. They're always weird.
Oh yeah.
But like when it's a little kid, like I don't know.
I mean, it's like.
We used to just beat each other's kids, though. That was like the thing. Like it wasn't weird. Like, you know, if you're at a house party and someone's kids mess it up, you give them a little slap on the bottom.
Well, it was one of those things where, like, you know, maybe it was one of those situations in school. Like now that I think about it, I definitely had a few teachers that kept, you know, a piece of pine. Maybe they never used it, but they certainly had it on display.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
so weird.
Some with holes in it and Greek symbols. Like it's like, you know,
it's like just putting your gun out casually on the coffee table. Like
it's exactly.
I don't want to have to use this.
Exactly.
Wait. But
That's
the Greek
exactly what it
symbols,
is.
that's a
Fraternal
fraternity
thing.
paddle.
Yeah,
That doesn't necessarily imply that teacher's doing corporeal
Kid
punishment.
doesn't know that.
Yeah,
a kid
that's
doesn't
fair.
know that.
That's
Like
Yeah,
that's
that's
the
a
whole
pink
thing.
gun up on the wall. Don't worry about that.
You see
Yeah,
the orange
for
cap?
sure.
Breast cancer awareness.
That's Susan G. Coleman's cat.
But also at the same time, I remember being a kid. Like, could you not make anything else in shop that day? Like, were all the birdhouses gone?
Right.
That's a threat.
Yeah, it was very weird. Yeah, no, I understand that there are certainly like different meanings to them and stuff through the fraternal organizations. But like, yeah, to a kid, it's definitely like, ugh.
No,
Well, I
because
think
they've even got a whole section in like Michael's that has all the paddles and the letters, and you can glue it together. I'm assuming it's for all the like grandmothers or mothers of the people who are in there, because I don't know what frat organizations going into get the craft supplies for their own paddles, but
Yeah, and
Interesting.
Maybe they're not used anymore, but it's still like the tradition was passed down from being used.
I mean, it's still weird, even if it's for a fraternity or something.
it's a weird symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, someone in Alabama like getting their grandpa's white hose. We don't use it anymore, but
We just keep it up in the
it's
corner.
an
It's just a-
heirloom. Like what? I mean, it's wild. Artifacts.
What? I know we don't like the term conspiracy anymore, but
I don't know what the terms are.
But you like to go down a lot of rabbit holes. You're a man who likes to take a hard turn down some rabbit holes.
I enjoy some
If
thought.
I'm not mistaken, the last time you were here, you said you were not married to the ball.
Yeah.
In terms of is the Earth round or not? So
But a lot of those fraternities were based on like secret societies and skull and crossbones and stuff, and so it's crazy now. Like when you hear about stuff like Epstein and stuff like that, or like people getting blackmailed for this and that, and it was just like, well, that's kind of what they do in fraternities, where they would do a bunch of like homoerotic hazing, and then like, well, we all did this and we all know
and so they've all got blackmail on each other and stuff. Yeah.
But if we don't do that, then we'll help you get a job somewhere. It'll be fun. I'll be your best pal until you step out of line.
Yeah, it's wild. It's definitely a very strange sort of scenario. But then again, at the same time, when I mean, you're gonna have like extremes in that world. You're gonna have everything from your friendly neighborhood Freemasons that just gather money for the homeless and actually have good intentions. Then you have people at the top of the top of the top of the top that just like are so far beyond anything we even understand that like it's just wild. Like I can't even comprehend it. But at the same time, it's like we almost give ourselves blackmail in the sense that like we prevent ourselves from from like, I don't know, doing and saying certain things that like, you know, maybe we don't mean offense by them, but we censor ourselves just because we don't know how they'll be perceived. You know what I mean? Like, to not have ill intentions, but to censor yourself is sort of like, I don't know, a form of internal blackmail in a sense that you want to avoid it on the outside. So it's like this weird sort of idea that like, yeah, it does happen externally, and there are people that blackmail people. I mean, credit companies blackmail us all the time. You know what I mean? They're essentially, hey, if you don't do this for us, you know what I mean? It's like, if you don't follow these rules, then we're just gonna, you know, it's weird. I'm getting off on a tangent. But,
no, I like it.
No. It's just one of those things that like, you know, it exists in different degrees. Like everything, it exists in the micro and the macro. You know,
sure, yeah.
It's wild. I mean, politicians in and of themselves. You guys probably saw a bunch of those videos from the House Speaker, like votes or whatever, where people actually like read the lips of people talking, and it's like, I don't know if this is real. Like, it looks like they're saying that, but also it looked like all those guys in the NFL were saying weird shit.
Oh yeah,
you know, when those guys were doing it. So lip reading is lip reading, but you know, some of them were kind of spot on, and they're saying things like, "Hey, we know how you voted, and we're gonna like, you know, we have this information or whatever. We know what it's gonna take to get you out of this." And when it comes down to like when major decisions are coming down to just simply people not wanting to know something about yourself, it's like, you know, that's when you get into the dark shit.
Well,
Absolutely,
I know when I was a kid, when I was a child, teenager, young adult, I thought that there was grown-ups in the world. I thought that there were like the adults knew what was going on, and like there was some sort of, it's like somebody was steering the ship, and the
Turns out
no one,
not so much.
I mean, we definitely not a political show that we have here, but I read something yesterday about 2 members of Congress getting almost into a fist fight in a bathroom, and I'm just like, this is where we're at. This is our leaders.
Yeah, well, I mean, we kind of chose the Jerry Springer route, you know, a while ago, sort of like that. There was something weird that happened, and like this, it obviously all sort of culminated, you know, with the last couple of administrations, but like, you know, even in the 90s, when it came to what was being covered and what wasn't, like, there's no reason that the president getting a BJ should have been
news.
That sort of news.
Yeah.
You know, maybe a few minutes at the end of the block because it'll get people to watch or whatever. But like, you know,
it was for weeks and weeks.
Yeah,
people will still make jokes about it
for sure. You know, for sure. But like, yeah, when it became to a point of entertainment, not information, then people were like, oh, this is where we find our angle. It's wild.
It's interesting. There is a salaciousness to obviously anything sexual. Like there was like the story about the female officer that had sex with a bunch of male officers. And I think the big problem was that they were all doing it on duty, or most of them who were doing it on duty, which is yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
Warrants getting fired at any job.
We're paying your salary for you to have. But in all the memes and all the making fun of, like, it was just like all directed at her, and it's just like it's like, well, is this a cab, or is this, if it's not from the Champagne region of France, it's just sparkling misogyny, you know?
Right? Yeah. I mean, you know, all of them should be fired for fucking the cops.
No, I mean, yeah, that shit was so wild. Like, I don't watch the news really, like being at my mom's house during 2020 and like feeling an environment where the news is just on in the background all the time. Like, it can be maddening.
Super it's depressing.
Yeah, there's a difference between being informed and being just inundated with, you know, because you're not just getting information, you're getting opinion on top of the information. And like, it would be dope if there was a central partisan place to where they just scrolled information. Like, even if I had to read it,
things
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, without
I think they call it a newspaper.
I mean,
no.
Yeah, well,
I'm kidding.
They used to. It used to. But no, if that sort of thing existed, it would be dope. But like, it's one of those things where, you know, tons of people have said this, but it's the truth. You just literally have to go, you know, what does the left say? What does the right say? What does the center say? And then you just kind of got to try and piece it together from there. Like, that's really the only way to get a well-rounded view on almost anything nowadays. And even then, you just got to take what you read with a grain of salt because like you don't know what motivations exist behind whoever. It's wild.
I have to put blinders up to a point and just kind of focus in on what I can kind of control in my day to day, because even like, you know, we're all comedians. We're always trying to promote shows and stuff. So it's like, there's such a weird relationship with social media where it's just like, I wish I didn't have to do this as much. And I see it. I see the effect on me because of like, oh, I have to post something, and then all of a sudden I'll catch myself just doom scrolling, and I'm like, what happened? Like, what happened there? Like, I'm just doing this now. I thought I was doing a thing. But you'll get all this back. I mean, it was why I had to stop watching stuff like, was it John Oliver Tonight or whatever. Like, it was just like every day is like, here's a new problem. You didn't know that the world's terrible. Also, I have no solutions. So it's just like, well, I just feel worse after watching this.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like,
This is such a great episode of this comedy podcast. We're really killing it today.
It's 50 degrees in January. What do we say here?
We're broadcasting from the end of the world. I like, well, when Kyle Buck comes on, you know, if we don't,
I love it.
If we don't dip our toe in a conspiracy pool a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Kyle, you got anything comedy wise going on, or just?
Yeah, I've got a few things. I'm kind of stepping off the gas a little bit in that realm, but you know, luckily enough, I still you know, get hit up time to time about some shows. The next one I've got coming up is March 10th. Tyler Waltz reached out to me for a show. I believe that's going to be at Imagine Books and Brews on March 10th. Sounds like a fun lineup he's put together. So I think that's that's my next joke telling venture.
Nice. I just did a show with you in Muncie.
Anderson.
Sorry,
No, it's fine. No, they genuinely, I only know the difference because I grew up in one.
Fair enough.
Fine.
Fair enough.
Yeah. One smells a little different. That's the only difference.
But that was a great show. That was so much fun. We had a blast.
It was a really cool time. I'm sad to hear that Fives is no longer, well, at least under that ownership, is not really doing anything. I expect someone is going to see the potential in that place and take it over, because there's a lot of cool stuff that can be done in the back area there, and in that used to be an old firehouse. Just that little garage area there was so cool for a show.
Absolutely.
Would love to do another one.
Five's Tap House.
Yeah, it's where you did the lawn with Lucas.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
You were outside, you were inside.
Yeah.
Yep. It was just barely warm enough to do that show outside. We almost
I would say it wasn't.
Well, it had to be because we sold too many tickets.
To do
But
it.
yeah, absolutely.
No, it's a cool space. Yeah. So I hope somebody does take it over. And they've got the kitchen and bar now there. So it's
Absolutely.
I got the rare pleasure of helping Lucas Waterfield with his merch, which is like 3 suitcases filled with shirts that just random people get stuck doing the merch. So it's like, it's a nightmare. There's no rhyme or reason to anything. It's just a bunch of shirts that got pulled out and restuffed. And so people were like, and it was like the last person to do it was Zane Zadie. So I'm just like, this is my nightmare. This is my nightmare. They're like, I need a small, I need a XXX. And I'm like, oh God, there's no rhyme or reason to any of this. Oh my gosh. Can you drop a beat for me, Sauce Boss?
Bow.
Kyle Buck, always a pleasure to have you on the
it's always a
podcast.
pleasure to be here. I'm happy to be here all the time.
Where can people find you and follow you and keep up with everything you're doing on social media?
Well, you can find me on social media at Uncle Buck's House on all forms of social media. The podcast will be getting back going here in the next couple of months, so I'm excited about that. Uncle Buck's House is returning, which is going to be one of those means of melding comedy and music. I want to organize a few scenarios where we get comedians in with musicians and kind of talk shop across the aisle a little bit, you know, just from both worlds. Yeah. I'm excited about that. And then you can find the band, Stampede String Band. All of our links and everything are just at ubhpresents.com/Stampede, or just Google Stampede String Band. You'll find all of our stuff.
Nice.
Yep. New album dropping January 27th.
27. Gwen Sunkel.
You can find me at Gwenderwoman on social media, and come see me this Friday at Can, where I will be commenting along to Showgirls.
Nice.
Zach Rowe.
You find me at Martian Colonizer on all social media.
You would be the one to give the Martians some smallpox blankets. I'm at Dyke Michaels on all social media. Check out our Patreon. It's patreon.com/Harder Brunch. Only $3. You get access to our entire back catalog, Patreon episodes, and it really helps us out. Helps us keep the lights on and pay some bills. So we appreciate it. Don't forget about meat cakes coming up next month, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, y'all.